All right, we are ready to get going for our afternoon keynote. We had a fantastic keynote this morning with Paul Turner, of course, talking about VCF 9, and coming up, we're going to learn about Tanzu 10. Lots of good things coming out from Broadcom, which we're excited about. And just as a reminder, we're in the middle of the day here, middle of the event. We've got plenty more content coming on afterwards. We will be recording and have been recording all of these. So if you wanted to see something again or you missed one, you have the ability to go back and watch this again. We have got thousands of people on this webinar, and we appreciate that. If you're not familiar with VMUG, we're an independent organization. We're tightly aligned with VMware and Broadcom, and our mission is for our members to get the most out of VMware and partner solutions. And we've got a couple of great partners here at this event, so I encourage you to go talk to them and see them in their booths. And so, yeah, that's what VMUG's about. Make sure you join. Make sure you let us know where you are geographically so we can give you updates about local events that are happening, in-person events, and of course, global events like we have going on right now. So, coming up next, we have our keynote for the afternoon, and we are going to be joined by Purnima Padmanabhan. She's the Vice President and General Manager of the Tanzu Division of Broadcom. Purnima and the Tanzu team are focused on helping enterprise teams get their ideas to code and code to production to accelerate business agility and innovate at scale. She'll highlight how Tanzu Platform and Tanzu Data are helping businesses deliver on the promise of GenAI and Agentic AI applications quickly and securely. So let's all welcome Purnima. All right, Purnima will be joining here. There she is.
Hey, Brad. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Yeah, good to see you again. I'll let you take it away. We can't wait to hear all the good stuff you're going to tell us.
Perfect. And let me see if I can share my screen.
Yes.
There you go. So, hello, everyone. I think you have probably had an exciting day hearing about VCF 9 and where it is going. But when the question is, once you have deployed VCF 9, you've got this beautiful cloud that can scale to all your applications. How do you put more applications easily? How do you attract your development teams to build their applications on top of it? And that is where Tanzu is like an advanced service on top of VCF. And it sits on top of VCF and enables you to bring developer experiences very easily to the VCF platform, accelerating the application journey. So think of Tanzu as advanced application and data services. So I was asked to also not just talk about general applications, but also AI-based applications. So what is happening is, just like infrastructure is transforming and cloud is happening, the same time, development teams are also changing their development patterns. Most people are now using coding assistants for some kind of code building. But then what we find is most of these applications never get to production, right? They are limited by the siloed data, because if you want an application to work well, you have to be able to scale and access the data. And what we found was most of the value of an AI project is not just putting an ChatGPT interface on an app, but it is how do you go to your proprietary applications that have been written in Java that are running in your data center for a very long time, and how are you able to inject the value of AI to those particular apps? So for example, if I'm an insurance company and I'm serving policies, how can I transform my policy management app and deploy it on my private cloud? That is where the bulk of the value is. And that is where we see the tool chain changing. So we already talked with VCF 9, a strong private cloud. Now the app development stack is changing very rapidly. And whether you're building AI apps or not, even for regular apps, the app development stack is changing. The app dev used to be IDEs. Now it is AI-powered coding assistants. App stack used to be infrastructure as code. And now a lot of it is really true sandboxed application platforms. Data management was very hard, right? It's siloed databases. Now we are talking about data lakehouses, being able to support various data needs, whether it's structured data or unstructured data for your customers. And analytics definitely has gone from just machine learning and big data to truly model assisted analytics, right? And this evolving application and data landscape is truly bringing the application services and the data services together in one stack. And that is our mission, really. Tanzu's mission is on top of VCF. How can we accelerate the velocity of applications that you bring on top of VCF? And for that, from a VCF perspective, you have to expose a set of these advanced services that are available to your developers. Our goal is to accelerate ideas to code and code to production, giving you business velocity. And the way we do that is by helping you develop, operate, and optimize your applications at scale. Whether it is, and by the way, there is a Q&A somewhere, right? So I can just see the Q&A. Yeah. Let me see. There's the Q&A. And I think I need to answer the question. So Tanzu itself helps you develop, operate, and optimize your applications at scale. And before I get into Tanzu, you see Tanzu sits on top of VCF. Now, what is included in VCF is everything that you need to run Tanzu, including Tanzu, what used to be formerly called as the Kubernetes runtime and all the Kubernetes management capabilities. So the VMware Cloud Foundation, now it is renamed as VKS, and the management capabilities are integrated into VCF automation and VCF operations. And so VMware Cloud Foundation gives you the ability to run VMs and containers, Kubernetes, as well as full management of all of that, right? So I want to answer that question right away. Now, once you have the entire industrial scale VMs and Kubernetes, what Tanzu does is it allows you to curate extremely powerful data solutions, and I'll talk a little bit more on it, and powerful application platform. What an application platform does is, even when you have an interface with Kubernetes and with VMs, you still have to build your applications. You still have to connect them. You still have to design the microservices. You still have to decide which service to expose to your customers. What is the governance rules that have to be applied at an application level? And that is what the Tanzu app platform does. So it is both of the answers are true. Components of Tanzu that used to be formerly called Kubernetes and Kubernetes runtime and Kubernetes management is now included in VMware Cloud Foundation. And then the application platform and data platform are what we call Tanzu now. Now, Tanzu allows you to develop, operate, and optimize applications at scale. So imagine you could, as an IT team, go and say that, look, developers, you just need to build your code. And after that, you walk away. We will take care of the code. We will convert it into the right formats. We will stitch it together, and we will deploy it at high availability and scale on top of our VCF. That is the promise of Tanzu, right? It gives you another level of abstraction for your developers. You can then operate this platform at scale. You have VCF, let us say, across multiple data centers, availability zones. Now the application layer can also stretch across all these environments at a very high level of scale. So can your data. So data doesn't have to be restricted to one environment. Data doesn't have to be restricted to just SQL. But probably the apps that they're building, they want access to your SQL databases. They want access to your file stores. And Tanzu Data Intelligence brings all of that and allows you to operate it at scale. And nothing stops at develop and operate. You have to be able to optimize your environment continuously with real-time proactive guidance and patching. And that is what, and I'm talking about full stack patching all the way from application down. And that is what Tanzu is able to do. Now, what happens to TKG is a question I want to again answer. TKG is part of VMware Cloud Foundation. What the TKG functionality is fully part of VMware Cloud Foundation, and it is now available as VKS. Okay, so if I go to the next slide, I don't know what's happening. There you go. So when it comes to the Tanzu platform, there is primarily two categories of products. As I said, application services, which is the core Tanzu platform, and Tanzu Spring, which allows you to develop applications and secure your applications fast. And then we have Tanzu Data. Okay, so I'll go into each of these areas next. So when you think about what is a PaaS, just like when you go to Google, you've got Google GKE, which is a very powerful platform, and that is similar to the VKS we have in VCF, and you also have Cloud Run. So what we have now with VCF is complete container runtime scaling is in the middle column, right? It is a complete runtime, compute storage, guest OS, and you can get a cluster, but then the developer decides how to stitch it together and run an application. What we do with Tanzu is take it to the next level. We say, imagine I could take all of that and give you a completely prescriptive, opinionated platform as a service. So all the developer does is brings code. Everything else is controlled by IT on how the code gets to production. And if you do this well, the opportunity and the scaling is very, very high. Your developer to admin ratio can be 200 to 1, reduction in downtime, improvement in patch rates. So huge success when you go with a PaaS approach, especially with VCF. And really in the industry today, Broadcom is the only company that offers that complete, and Broadcom and VMware within Broadcom is the only one that offers a full foundational stack with VCF and an application and data stack with VMware Tanzu that can serve for a full PaaS. So what does the Tanzu platform have? You can have modern applications, microservices-based applications, COTS applications, GenAI applications, or agentic applications. But at the core of Tanzu platform is what we call the Elastic App Runtime. And the Elastic App Runtime then is, I will talk through each of these, is what allows you to take it, understands your application, understands the connectivity of the application, understands the code of the application, and then breaks it into pieces and puts it on an application runtime that runs on your infrastructure at scale, at efficiency. And it is supported by a bunch of services. So think of Tanzu itself, Tanzu application service or Tanzu platform as an advanced service on VCF. And this advanced service supports a bunch of things. At the base level, when you run the platform, you get ability to run Spring applications, Java applications at very high performance, at scale, with governance and with security. Now, this is very powerful. If you have VCF, you've already secured your infrastructure. With networking, you have secured your, or with a distributed firewall, you have secured your east-west traffic. And with Spring services, you can secure all your VM and container workloads. The latest and greatest patches, the ability to understand all the dependencies and automatically fix wherever the issues come up. So think of Spring as a way to rapidly build applications on top of Tanzu platform. And then Tanzu platform takes that application code and has proprietary capability that allows it to convert it rapidly into a package that can be deployed at scale across the Elastic Runtime, which is running on top of VCF. It also includes a bunch of data services. This is very powerful because when you run your data and your application on the same platform, you can scale accordingly. You can offer database as a service. You can have a DBA team managing the databases as a fleet while the apps teams are consuming these data services. And Tanzu, in VMware, Tanzu has had, the team has had about 20 plus years of experience building databases at scale. Primary contributors for Postgres, we've got RabbitMQ, MySQL, as well as Redis and Valkey. In addition, a data lake house called Greenplum and a high-speed caching solution called Gemfire. I'll walk you through some of these data services. Now we started with AI, right? So it's great for modern applications, but one of the biggest things that you need to now, whether you like it or not, as IT teams, your organizations are going to come and ask you for more AI services. And with Private AI Foundation, you can serve a model. But then still, how do you get that model access to a developer in their so that they are never ever accessing anything else other than what you certify. And that is where AI governance layer comes in. It gives you a layer that allows you not only to broker models, but the nice thing for the app developers is they can actually develop against, in their programming language, in their Java, against these models with full security. And Tanzu Platform AI service takes care of brokering which model is made available to which developer. And finally, marketplace services. I see a lot of customers using some external services outside of their private cloud. And marketplace services can broker any external services also, so that you can have everything be governed. Nothing goes outside of the core governance and core premise that IT is going with. Okay. And please feel free to ask questions on the way. I'll address them as they come up. So that is what Tanzu Platform does. It's an elastic runtime running on primarily on VMware Cloud Foundation. It gives you that ability to just define your application and automatically provide the microservices orchestration and connection, the high availability and the resiliency, as well as it is continuously checking compliance. So if you cannot connect to two different microservices because they have lack of authentication, we can make sure that that is automatically enforced right from the platform, so the development teams and BUs don't have to worry about it. So if you want to, I think the premise here, before I go more into details, is we started with AI. AI is changing the world, and it will come to all of us much faster. I think I have seen many different waves in my career, and I would say the adoption of this AI wave is probably one of the fastest. Now, what it doesn't change is you still, whether it is an AI app or a or standard app or a VM-based app, monolithic app, it doesn't matter. It still needs infrastructure to run on, and that infrastructure has to be governed and managed. And when you break it down, while there's a lot of hype about AI, an AI application is also just a standard application. You need to be able to write your business logic and deploy it. You need to be able to connect to databases and vector stores easily. You need to be able to connect your models. You need to be able to connect your tools. And all this needs to be automatically orchestrated and secured for you, so that that app is running safely on your infrastructure. So when you start thinking about it, an AI app is nothing but a standard app. And that is why it's important, we believe, for infrastructure teams and platform teams to seize the opportunity. And in some companies, I see AI is kind of built as a separate silo, and say that, look, it doesn't need to be in the silo. It still has to run in the infrastructure. It still has to access the same data. It still has to have the same business logic. And if you truly want to transform your existing enterprise apps, it has to modify the existing enterprise apps, which means that you don't want to be sitting on 2, 3 different platforms. You really want to bring convergence of all your applications on one platform. And that is what we can do with the Tanzu application service on VCF. So then another question here is, how are the AI services different from private AI? So when you think about it, you have different foundations, and your foundations, you have different models, and the models can be private models or they can be public models. And private AI is a great framework for you to be able to run private models efficiently at scale. What AI services does is a bunch of other things. So when you're building an AI app, you need to be able to connect not only to private models, but you also need to be able to connect to public models. And more importantly, for developers, you want to make sure it integrates into their existing IDE or existing Java patterns. So this AI service that comes with Tanzu will connect to any model that is served by Private AI Foundation. It also allows you to connect to public models. It not only does the governance and access control of the models, but it also allows you to develop the app with application with the right guardrails and the governance, so that you don't end up going ahead on tokens, you don't end up using the model in a wrong way, you have got all the checks and balances and all the guardrails. So that is really the power of the AI governance engine. And we are really accelerating here quite a bit. So the world is moving very fast, and it's moving from models now to saying, how do I get access to tools? And there's a protocol called Model Context Protocol. So you, rather than you being trying to stay abreast of all these protocols that are happening, the AI service, in fact, with Tanzu, with VMware Tanzu, we were the first ones to write the Java SDK for this protocol that allows that AI service to connect to an internal tool. And that is what is accepted today in the industry as the formal SDK. So think of this as very synergistic. Just like I said, Tanzu is an advanced application service on VCF, and the models can be served by Private AI Foundation. And the AI service really then takes that models and brokers it into the application so that you can actually build those applications at scale. Okay, hopefully that made sense. So the goal is that when I said automation, right? So the nice thing with VCF is now you get a curated set of clean services and clean APIs. And when you put Tanzu, the developer just gets a piece of code and they say CF push, and all the automation magic happens for them. So they don't, by not allowing them to modify or muck around with all these configurations, putting them in standard templates and putting them in guardrails, you actually get better velocity on developers, better satisfaction, but you also leverage your infrastructure much better. Now, one of the key pieces, right, in AI, and I'm going to skip Spring and build and all, is how do you develop AI apps, right? Just because you have a model, you can't, the model, the distance between the business logic that you create and the model is really far off. So what we have is built into the platform some tooling, especially if you are using Java or Spring. This tooling is right away natively built into the platform. So if somebody wants to instantiate a vector database with the right set of embeddings, they just simply point to the embeddings and automatically a database gets instantiated. Being able to have a predefined chat client, being able to have predefined RAG template, being able to manage how you do the chat and how do you do the memory, how do you do the authentication, how do you do observability, right? And being able to provide advice for you inline, because again, we know how applications should be built for executing correctly on at large scale. And so these advisors APIs give you application on how applications should be built. Being able to do AI model evaluation. And the biggest part of all of this is no AI app really sits in isolation without data. And so we have done a lot of work in how do you query data? How do you take your data that might be sitting in 5 different databases and 3 different file systems and give a single query, a federated query that an AI developer could use, and then access that data to build a true app without having to do this massive restructuring project? And you govern as IT the layer, that data layer also, and say what goes to the developer. So really, this is a lot more than it's a lot more acceleration. So now going from, let us say, you decide, hey, I'm an insurance company, I've got a policy serving app. I need to have a interface that allows my customers to talk to me about what kind of policy they want. Great. Going from a traditional app to taking that same Java code, inserting the access to this chat interface with the right templates, giving it access to the data with governance, and then instantiating the model with governance, all is done within a few clicks on the platform. So that is really the power of what we are unleashing with AI on VCF. So really, with VCF 9 and Tanzu, now we are at Tanzu 10, this becomes a great synergy to accelerate, again, app development, as I was talking about. Here are some more things about AI middleware. One of the big things that we are doing is not only can you do the orchestration of the loops of the various model instantiation and brokering of the models, you can also write your own servers, what we call MCP servers, manage the registry, and manage the connectivity to tools. This is a big problem because when you have AI unleashed on your environment, and let us say AI is automatically going and querying your interfaces, who controls all of that? And so the application service that we have on VCF gives you a sandbox to run your AI applications so that they don't leak into other areas and they have the right governance to not only run but also to connect to other subsystems. Okay. Any questions on this? Okay. And here are some of the models that are supported, and pretty much any brokers or that are available for AWS, Azure, GCP. So a lot of times customers use foundational models that might be hosted on, let us say, by the way, we have connection to Claude also, as you see, with Anthropic, or let us say a Gemini on Google. You can connect to those also safely. Or you can do your own on-prem models. But again, the key value is in making sure that all of that governance is centralized with IT. So now let us move to the data part. And how can data, what do you need to think about data? Okay. With VMware, Tanzu has been providing data, high performance data for many, many years. And at the heart of it, the problem statement is very simple. You are thinking about cloud and cloud infrastructure, but data and databases come very close to it. These databases are holding all kinds of different data, and they are sitting in operational databases, data warehouse, data lakes. Some are getting streamed. You've got caching system, you've got data marts. And often when you build AI apps, in fact, it's true of all apps, but when you build AI apps, you need structured access to data. And when I talk to many customers, they are kicking off infrastructure projects to create large data lakehouses. So as we looked at the solution and we said the kind of capabilities we had, we said, you really do not need to artificially move data to one place in order to get access to it in a structured way that you can consume in an application. And that is where we have our Tanzu Data Intelligence Platform. So the Tanzu Data Intelligence Platform is paired, again, VMware Tanzu Data Intelligence sits on also sits on VCF. So these are app services and data services, both of which sit on VCF. They talk to each other and they talk to VCF. And it is a holistic approach starting from how can you do ingestion. And for ingestion of data, we have streaming services. We provide RabbitMQ on and a very, very scalable, highly performant enterprise class capability. But we also have data flow, which is a pipelining and orchestration solution that allows you to do better ingestion of the data flow. All of this is anchored on this massively parallelized data lakehouse that does not require you to move the data. So I'm going to explain that a little bit. So this data lakehouse can give you access to structured, semi-structured, unstructured, real-time, and batch data. That's the heart of it. And the heart of that data lakehouse is really Tanzu Greenplum. That is a massively distributed parallelized Postgres that is our Postgres-based service that is allows you to not only have SQL-like data and sync that, but also access to, as I said, unstructured data. I'll talk about that. So you imagine you can ingest your data very easily. You can do federated query on data in this lakehouse, but also data outside this lakehouse, sitting somewhere in an S3 bucket or sitting somewhere in a HDFS file store. You can run your batch jobs in the associated service container. You can then take this data, connect it to your AI app, automatically create embedding caches and real-time caches to actually answer any question the customer may have, and then finally give full analytics at a high level. And so the capabilities are all part of the Tanzu Data Intelligence suite of products. Anchoring it all is Tanzu Greenplum. And if you haven't looked at it, you should definitely look at it in this new world. It is a massively parallelized infrastructure, a data warehouse, but then now it also includes a data lake with a HDFS file storage system. Now, the beauty of this entire system is it is unified structure, it unifies structured and unstructured data. It optimizes performance and cost. Imagine you probably are all managing a bunch of disparate Cloudera Hadoop clusters. Instead of that, imagine you could just have a single system. So you have got SQL, you've got HDFS, and you can do a federated query, a single query across your entire HDFS as well as your SQL systems. That is the power that Tanzu Data brings in. So again, if you're managing large scale Postgres instances, Oracle instances, Cloudera instances, then this can be a great solution for you to unify but also drive incredible ROI. And the power here is the following, right? You have a data lakehouse. You can, some of it can be sitting in Greenplum, some of it can be sitting in this extended data lake where we just put an agent on your Cloudera instance and we can actually query directly into that or into any of your HDFS instances. And you can also, with this federation layer, go and query completely third-party systems. So one SQL query now to access all data. And this is really powerful because as you start thinking about AI, your data is sitting everywhere. So how do you kind of organize your data? How do you catalog your data and give access control to data becomes very important. And that is what this federation allows you to do. And then once you've federated the query, yeah, I'm going backwards a little, you really can do easily data ingestion. And the data ingestion can be JSON, geospatial, time series data, voice, video, image, doesn't matter what. We have got streaming ingesters for all of this that can load the data, vectorize it if needed, if it is something that you're using for AI/ML use case. If not, it can just store it directly in the lakehouse. Okay. So again, remember, you've got all these disparate things running on top of VCF, and VMware Tanzu Data and VMware Tanzu Platform bring that app and data layer together. So I'm just keep reminding that again. I'm going to give you here an example of an AI situation where you load the images, you're doing these streaming services. The AI appliance brokers and says, okay, which model, for which reason automatically. It creates an embedding and automatically the embedding is stored in a vector database. But if it is something that is needed for high frequency reasons, we can also automatically cache it in a Gemfire or a Postgres or a MySQL database so that your app then has access to what it needs. All this stuff, again, once it is curated, becomes very simple for a developer and lot fewer issues then with the and issues and complaints with the infrastructure. So there's a question, what Tanzu Data Intelligence Marketplace app do you recommend to use to get testing metrics prior to going full scale with Tanzu? So Israel, I think best way is to connect through this. I'm sure VMUG is there through this VMUG. We will and we will be happy to share all the data and the links to see how you can try this out. What will be nice is also if you can share what is your use case. Is your use case a large scale Postgres? Is your or a converting Oracle to Postgres, or is it a large scale Cloudera replacement, or is it really creating a lake house and with vectorization? So if you can give the use case, then we can definitely provide you access for that testing metrics. Remember, just because you have a warehouse or a lake house doesn't mean you can use it with applications. So what we do is that high-speed caching that I talked about, we have got the industry's best, fastest caching with Tanzu Gemfire. In fact, many of my customers use it for very low latency transactions. And that is what allows you to connect the lake house to an application at high speed. And this again becomes very important for real-time applications as well as AI-driven applications. And finally, you can't have a data intelligence platform without analytics, right? So there are a whole bunch of analytics, whether it is AI, ML models that are baked in, vector analysis that are baked in, BI tools that are baked in, data transformation and spatial intelligence that is baked in. All that comes with the platform. And that means you're not trying to build your own tools and build your own subsystems to get the value out of the data. Now, one of the interesting things that we have done with data is we have also written logic that connects these automatically, these data services to various public models. And so if you have got a private data and you've got a private model now, you can actually easily query that data to identify what is happening with your data and then how you want to organize that data. So really, again, it's about velocity and getting you there faster. So I know I rushed a little because I wanted to kind of primarily talk about the AI story. The main takeaway is with Tanzu Platform, the VMware Tanzu app and data and Spring services, you can not only build your applications faster, not only can you build your AI applications, you can deploy them to the platform and completely connect them to all their data, all the data services that you may have. And you can offer that all of this as a service to your developers. I think that is really the main point I want to bring to the table. That is what will allow for the unblocking of the innovation that is coming from AI while maintaining all the governance and all the security and all the guardrails that we want within IT. So I'm going to pause here and see if there are any questions. And I know, Adib, you are online, so also happy for you to chime in. So lastly, if you build your Tanzu platform on top of VCF, right, application platform, these are some of the savings. These are some of the results that we have seen. These are real results compared to anything else in the industry. 36% lower development cost. That is because you've already given the guardrails to the developer. They don't have to manufacture their own guardrails. You've got faster time to market, 48% faster time to market. I know customers who have told me what would take me months to get an application to production now only takes a few weeks. I can build the application much faster. I simply push it. I don't have to worry about any details, and then it gets to production. The third one is less time on admin task, right? You already have this powerhouse with VCF 9, and when you pair it with VMware Tanzu, now you can just say that, hey, not only am I going to control the infrastructure layer, I'm going to control the security, networking security layer, but I'm also going to control exactly how people build applications for it to be safe. Less unplanned downtime, because all the entire security of the application, which is through Spring Security, all the way to the security of the infrastructure is all taken together as a stack. And so that is why you have less unplanned downtime. And unplanned downtime, when you take it as a stack, you know the dependencies, so you know which one to patch first. That is why your downtime is less. And then, of course, you have fewer security incidents because you're doing security much faster. So that is the value I'd like to leave with you. The call to action would be, if you think there are areas that you believe as a IT team you can innovate on, or there are use cases, then definitely would be happy to answer those questions. I see a couple more questions, so let me take those. One is, do all these advanced services and features require additional licensing on top of VCF? Yes. Advanced services, I think we have got about 9 or 10 advanced services on top of VCF, David, and all of them require incremental licensing. Just like, I guess you would say, when you go to any cloud, as you buy additional licenses, as you buy additional services, you have additional licensing, right? And definitely we'll be happy to share some of the content here. So the another question, how is VMware by Broadcom posturing customers who don't currently have entitlements to Tanzu get into the offerings without suffering sticker shock? John, here's the thing. It's a very easy answer. The Tanzu platform, the Tanzu application service is actually licensed on an application basis. So the easiest way is you start with one application. You say, okay, I'm going to build an application. Let us say the application has about 50 instances. You just buy 50 instances. It's a very, very small price point for entry. You don't have to buy the infrastructure for your entire data center in order to start trying out these advanced services. Let us say, for example, you have a single Postgres instance. That is a very, very low entry point. You can start managing your Postgres instance or your RabbitMQ and then scale. So the advantage with all these incremental services is this is not an all or nothing. And this is not that this doesn't require you to buy for the entire real estate that you own. These are use case based advanced services. So pick the database that you want, or pick the data use case that you want, or pick the application use case that you want, and we will be happy to craft something for you that would allow you to start just for that restricted use case. I have another slide actually for the QR code for the free trial. Thank you, Daniel. So many questions about how do you try this platform or what can we do? So here's the QR code. One question was, can you talk about how you support agentic workflows? Do you provide tools? Yes. So one of the things for authoring agents is you need a framework. And so, as I mentioned, the Java SDK that we have built into the platform is the SDK that gives you the framework for easily building an agentic app. When you build an agentic app, there are multiple pieces. You have the agent logic, and we help with things like authorization, with proxying, with the agent memory, many things that you would have to do by yourself are already pre-curated for you on the platform. But then the other thing that we do from an agentic app is when an agentic app is created, not only do you have the business logic for the agent, which we help with through the framework creation, and you have to then easily have to connect it to your data instances and to your models. And we broker all of that through a simple orchestration. So you just have to say service create, service bind, done. You've got your agent framework all instantiated. And then the most important part is we are actually working with Anthropic to contribute to the MCP protocol. And so the tools that are available, right, that are built into the platform allow you to connect. Let us say you are doing a coding assistant type of logic and you want to connect into Git MCP server or a Slack MCP server, or you're trying to connect into one of the tools that are available outside. How do you make sure that you give that connectivity? How do you make sure that people know how to hook into it, that the right authentication is there, that the right token is there? And that is all proxied by the platform. So all the pieces you need to build an agent, whether it is the business logic, whether it's the agent workflow, whether it is the instantiation of databases and models, or whether it is the instantiation of tools, all of that is done and orchestrated by us. That makes it much easier, right? I'm just thinking then of the business logic and the product does everything else. Okay. And I think Adib also answered it.
All right, Purnima, thank you so much. Very informative. I agree with some of the folks that had in the chat. Very good session here, and you can try the QR code there if you want to give it a try, and it's exciting. We've got Tanzu 10 out there. So much good stuff coming from the research, development, and innovation that Broadcom is funding with VMware and the software, so exciting times. All right. Well, we have got some sessions coming up later on, and you got about 5 minutes to get to your next one. And let me tell you, you've got some tough choices here. You've got William Lamb, if you want to hear his session about a deep dive in deployment strategy with VCF architecture. Chris McCain is doing VMware vDefend Made Easy. And then we've got the community session with Matt Heldstab and Dave Simpson and Martin Van Dresden as well. So the good news is all of these are being recorded, and you will be able to view these on demand because there's so much good content. You can't be in 3 spaces at once. After that, we've got another session to close out today. There's 3 to pick from. And then if you'd like to hear Paul Turner's keynote again, it's going to be replayed again at 10 p.m. Central Time. So I will let you get to your next session. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Purnima, thank you so much for spending time with us today.